Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series. This is day number 3 of the Redemption Series. My name is Osmond and I'm joined by Dan.
Yo.
How's it going, Dan?
Well, we've had 2 or 3 matches so far. We're about to have our semifinals, so I'm excited to see where this is starting to ramp up. We have 4 players remaining, but only 1 person can come to the land, get their all-expenses-paid trip. Pretty sure ESL is rooting for the North American guys, but I know some people really want to see more diversity.
Yeah.
SpiderRoger from Taiwan, Korneko from Japan, Silestorm's from Canada, but he identifies himself primarily more with the the Chinese scene, I think.
Yeah, he was born there.
Yeah, and then LuigEzz, of course, hailing all the way from North America.
Mm-hmm. He's from New York, so it's still a long ways from California, but not quite as far. The Season 1 Legendary Series finals had a few Taiwanese players, Weifu and Pinpingho, and actually the translator for the media piece that we saw earlier was actually Pinpingho, who was talking to Roger. So,
oh, that's funny.
Very tight-knit group of guys. They all practice with each other. You include Tom in that.
60229.
Yep, Tom 60229.
He's forever changed that number for me.
Why?
Because now whenever I see the number 60,229, I'm going to think of Tom.
It happens quite often, I'd assume.
No, it's never happened. But every time I do see that number, I think of Tom.
Well, I'm
also because Tom 60229 is my doppelganger.
Oh yeah, that's true.
From like a certain angle, Tom 602, he looks exactly like me. Now I understand there's a lot of jokes out there already about whatever Trump, Maz, Hafu, Masan type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically with Tom, there was this one angle at BlizzCon where I was watching him and introducing him, and I really thought that was me for a second.
That's got to be a really scary
It was a
experience.
trippy moment because I thought like the camera transitioned and changed away from me, but
yeah,
it wasn't me, but I thought it was me. So I stood up straighter like because he was slouching over, and I was like, wait, that's not me.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a weird experience. We'll be seeing Tom tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, he's in Group D.
Yeah, so he participated in the Legendary Series earlier, but right now it's Roger's time to shine, or not shine. And, of course, he'll be facing off
Or
against...
not shine.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's just a really funny way to put it. I guess I haven't really considered that.
Yeah, and he'll be facing off against LuigEzz, who we've already seen today. He's warmed up. He's rearing and ready to go. He had a really good series early in the day against Azuzu.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was 3-0.
Well, I do want to emphasize that SpiderRoger, or guys, it's just Roger. I want to emphasize that Roger's up at like 7 a.m. and Korneko, he was up at like 5 a.m. So really tough hours for those guys to play.
SpiderRoger, a big fan of Spider-Man.
Yeah, but SpiderRoger doesn't quite roll off the tongue. Maybe it was SpiderRoger.
No. It doesn't.
But then you confuse him for like an Indian superhero.
Yeah.
Because like Roger's a really popular name.
That'd be true. It's like sounds like a really bad Bollywood video or Bollywood movie.
Like a music parody video. They
Yeah,
make a lot
exactly.
of those. The Indian people are so funny, man. When they make the parody music videos, I laugh so much.
Yeah, they churn out more
They're
movies.
so funny. I love them.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to jump into the first match here. It is going to be LuigEzz on the Warlock. And this was the Zoo with the Argent Squire, so a little bit different take on it. It was like sort of the mid-range Zoo, or I don't know. It's the line blurs so much.
Let's just say like a retro Zoo, because he's got the Dark Iron Dwarf, the Argent Squires. Those are much more board-centric approaches.
But he still has cards like Implosion, and we actually didn't get to see much of the deck, so it's possible that it tops out with some bigger threats. We saw Sea Giant as well. And, of course, SpiderRoger. SpiderRoger.
Does everything a Raj would do.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. 2 Argent Squires and a Void Walker. That fills out the first 2 turns curve here. And we have that Patron Warrior from Roger. Now, I do know that if there's one type of deck that the Asian scene loves, it was Miracle Rogue. They loved Miracle Rogue to death. Guys like Frozen Ice, Tom, all of them maxed out at like thousands upon thousands of games to climb the #1 rank in Asia with Miracle Rogue. And Patron Warrior is reminiscent of it. Got a lot of combos, got a lot of draws, got a lot of ways to survive, and ultimately plan out through counting.
Yeah.
But I would assume that Patron Warrior is even harder than Miracle Rogue was. I know people always say Miracle Rogue is one of the epitomes of difficulty in decks, but I think Patient Warrior's up there too.
Miracle Rogue was had like the one win condition, the singular win condition, but the hard part was getting there. With Patient Warrior, it's still hard getting there, but then you have multiple ways that you win, and the ways that you do win are harder to accomplish. They take more thought, they take more card combos. It's a lot harder to spot instead of just, you know, Leroy, Shadow Step, Leroy, Gold Blood, whatever. So I would agree that it is a tough deck. Patient Warrior is one of the toughest decks, toughest new decks that has come out in a long, long time. And
is there any deck that's harder right now to play?
I would argue
maybe mid-range Shaman.
I would argue Freeze Mage is up there. To play effectively in a competitive
Freeze Mage
environment.
is definitely pretty hard.
Yeah.
Shaman's also difficult, but that's because Shaman's not strong, so you could say its difficulty level is directly correlated to its potency.
There's less resources for players to learn, and less people that play it for players to theorycraft, so
yeah, fair enough.
That makes it tough as well. Grim Patient Warrior is approaching like pretty good levels of refinement already, just because so many players are playing with it and experimenting with it. It's like the fastest a deck has ever been refined to the point where it is now.
All right, Implosion, pretty systematic here. Doesn't really matter what it rolls damage-wise, but in terms of getting the amount of imps, absolutely. 4 imps is problematic, although he does have the Whirlwind primed and ready to go. That's the one thing you're worried about, is the Acolyte Whirlwind play. Now, he doesn't have the Acolyte, but he's got the Whirlwind. And imagine if he had the Volcanic Drake. It'd be for 1 mana.
The value.
Yeah, value.
Volcanic Drake, I think, is a slightly underrated card.
I think it's a sick card.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm one of the few people who like it a lot. Some people feel like it's just like, meh, very average. But I think all people have to do is find a way to build a legitimate dragon control deck. And then they'll see like the absolute craziness of Volcanic. And it could be as simple as just waiting for 1 or 2 more cards to make it really good. Like the next expansion, as soon as like something comes out, and then Volcanic Drake becomes much stronger.
Yeah, I like Volcanic Drake in aggro decks. This allows you to get that 6 damage out for usually like 3 mana if you can, and if you can choose where to trade your creatures into.
This is a tough position because you don't actually have a way to remove the Thaurissan, even with the Defender.
And even though we can see that the Emperor Thaurissan really wasn't that effective for Roger, Luigi doesn't know that, so he could be quite frightened by the possibility of what was in that hand.
Well, he's gotten a way to deal with it now, but that requires him to make the rest of his turn pretty inefficient. He would skip out on developing a minion that costs higher.
My shield for
so he's gonna look like he picks off the Armor Smith for a free 1/1 and then push with the egg. Now, interestingly enough, because he did that, he was expecting maybe the Thaurissan trades into it, but he's got Execute for 0 mana.
Yeah.
And if he picks up a weapon, a Fiery War Axe, this is gonna be a huge series of tempo swings. Okay.
It's a rough hand. Not many ways to give value to this Battle Rage. No creatures. The Dread Corsairs are...
you can Battle Rage for 2. That's not bad.
Yeah.
You save the Execute for the Doom Guards, probably.
But the Dread Corsairs being reduced is really not that big of a deal because they'd be free with Death Button anyway.
Interrage will cost 3 mana if he Loathebs. That's how deep it is.
Nice. How would the Dread Corsairs work? If they, if a card...
It's just anything +5.
No, like, well, not for Loatheb, because they're not spells. I'm talking about, like, for a Nerubian Weblord.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were just asking about the
Or not a Nerubian Weblord, but, like, Mana Wraith. Would it be the same effect that Loatheb has on spells? Would it just...
Probably.
Okay. I've actually never been in that situation.
Where's your passion, TJ? Look at the effective Imp Gang boss. Leaving trails behind the 1/1s allowed to pick up trades and kill off the Thaurissan.
Yeah.
Really effective stuff overall. The always scary moment is to cross your fingers for no Warsong Commander Grim Patron, because this is quite the board for it.
That's a juicy board. Draw for Warsong Commander. That's not it.
I mean, he's got time. He's not under the most insane pressure, so he can go for cool Taskmaster on the Acolyte to draw.
Yep. But this gives an opportunity for LuigEzz to start trading in his low attack stuff.
That's true, but he's drawing more cards still.
In-game Gang Boss is really hard to trade in without still giving your opponent
more patrons.
More patrons, yeah. What's he gonna get?
Another patron.
What does the Dread Corsair say?
Blood and thunder.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was leaning towards that.
It's a little bit of a weird mix, but if you think about it, it makes sense.
Yeah. Definitely agree.
You know what? It actually makes more sense if it's Flood and Thunder.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Flood and Thunder.
Another juggle. Hits the Acolyte, denies the card draw, but more importantly, LuigEzz is able to get everything out. So now he uses the Doom Guard to push a little bit. That's going to activate the Execute. And it's still enough room for SpiderRoger to get the Warsong Commander and the Grim Patron.
And if we're lucky, he might even break into song.
I like a lot of the sequencing here. It's still going to be tough to guarantee that your board is safe to the Grim Patron. In fact, I don't think it is no matter what because of inner range.
Yeah. And in fact, it'd be a full board clear if Warsong Commander was drawn.
Yeah, it's not, though. Inner Rage, Execute.
Yeah.
Guys had the Death Bite, though.
It's sort of a shame, if only because if he had been able to wait one more turn with the Death Bite, he could set up a turn where he could make a lot of Grim Patrons, but he just doesn't have enough health to be able to survive an onslaught.
I kind of can. The Dread Corsair still gives him some health.
It looks like he might. So there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17 damage on board.
And he's at 17, 19 health effectively. He can execute the Doom Guard as well, which is probably the best play.
He has to. Because that doesn't even count juggles. There's going to be at least 2 juggles, so he'd effectively be... As long as the... Yeah, he has enough damage to spread apart as well. So if he doesn't do anything here, there would be 19 damage on the board as long as he just draws into 2 creatures.
Sets up Patron number 1 just to try and get some semblance of board. He's going to force the Nerubian to attack into it. That's actually pretty smart. If he forces the Nerubian to attack into it, then he doesn't have to worry about attacking into the Nerubian for the weapon charge or giving up the patient. So he's basically all in on the Warsong.
LuigEzz looked slightly confused by the Grim Patron being put down.
Ooh, that's perfect. Lotheb and Sea Giant. And his opponent can't even brawl.
Yeah. Basically secure the game. I mean, it was looking pretty bad for Roger.
Yeah, to begin with,
without
it wasn't very sharp. The thing is, oh wait, he doesn't want to juggle. The thing about playing the Lotheb and the Sea Giant was the juggles on the Grim Patron. So now we have 8 health remaining. It has to be the Warsong Commander! Oh man, that's pretty exciting stuff.
I don't even...
Oh wait, he can't...
That's not enough.
Oh, he can't armor up.
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Actually, he's going to be able to get a couple of these from the extra 1/1.
Right, but he can't deal with the Sea Giant. The Sea Giant just kills him straight up.
Yeah. Wait, can he attack with the Death Bite and spawn enough to kill it? No, he can't. He'll only spawn 2 extras. Oh no, he can.
Yeah, he can actually.
Yeah, he can.
Kill the Sea Giant. Oh wow.
He navigated that really well.
Yeah, we forgot about the extra whirlwind effect there.
But he's going to be left with virtually nothing.
Right, this Grim Patron's not spawning another Grim Patron.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. So LuigEzz can't actually kill him right now. Was hoping to tap into the Doom Guard. And now he can't play a spell. And he already used his other Grim Patron.
That doesn't help at all.
Yeah. He needed that to be Commanding Shout or something. Well, what's the best play here?
Not Whirlwind. Because there's no way you can navigate it where Whirlwind has any effect. You have to kill the Loatheb, like with both of these creatures.
Well, you can kill off the Imp and then try to push if you're assuming your opponent can't draw 2 damage.
Which is kind of unlikely.
Right.
But if you're playing around like power overwhelming, either way you die. Because it would be 7 damage even if it was just on the Imp. Yeah. So you might as well just take the risk, but
this makes a lot of sense considering that's like technically his best chance to play. Yeah. But he's got a lot of damage. And LuigEzz he had his number from the beginning. This is partially why Zoo is still pretty strong because the pressure put on Grim Patron is a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of turns where Roger was on like a Warsong Commander draw to completely turn the game around, but I mean that happens a lot against Zoo where all they do is they, like you said, they put on the pressure. And sometimes it's just too fast to where they don't give you opportunities to draw. And the Warsong Commander ended up being like 4 turns too late.
Yeah.
Which is way too late. So LuigEzz is going to take a lead up. He's actually undefeated today in the game so far.
He's 4-0.
Yeah.
And he's got a pretty good lineup, I would say, against the rest of this. He's got Rogue and he's got his own Warrior. But keep in mind, he's Control Warrior.
Yeah.
Control Warrior against the Patron Warrior is great. Maybe that's why Oil Rogue's starting to come back, because you can deal with Patron. But then all the 1/1 tokens from Rogue scare me a little bit.
A lot of players were saying, have been saying, that Rogue does well against Patron Warrior, but sometimes it seems like some of your damage won't line up.
Well, you got Blade Flurry. That's like really good to deal with things. And then you have a lot of 3 attack minions that match up against the Grim Patron.
But you can
Probably Berserker gets eviscerated.
You can play the matchup differently. As the Warrior player, you can play very aggressive style, not as combo oriented around Grim Patrons, and or you can just play the sort of War of Attrition where you just kind of armor up and try and make the Rogue run out of resources.
Can you play that as Patron Warrior against Rogue?
I think so. I've done it a couple times, but
feels unlikely considering that Armored Smiths are your only source of gain health, and you don't pressure as strong as Control Warrior in the late stages of the game.
Well, you have
with like huge bombs like Alex Straza and stuff.
Your removal lines up nicely with the threats that Rogue puts out because it's like 3/3s and Violet Teacher is like all they're going to put out. And we saw earlier that even Grim Patron Warrior can gain absurd amounts of health.
It does feel on the more optimistic side, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a secondary to a secondary win condition.
Druid is the one that's chosen by Roger. That means that LuigEzz is the one disadvantaged here. He's got a Control Warrior, but it's just pretty basic Control Warrior. We haven't seen dragons in it, unfortunately, beyond Alex Straza.
Luigi seems like I don't want to call him a basic kind of guy, because that kind of sounds like an insult. But
well, it is if you say it to a girl.
Yeah. But Luigi's is, he likes just standard, classic decks. He doesn't like to try and, it doesn't seem like he likes to try and innovate. He just likes to stick with what's known.
Get wrecked. Yeah.
Not get wrecked. Yeah. It works for him. He plays him nearly flawlessly. You don't have to innovate to be considered a good player.
You essentially just called him boring.
He's not boring, because his play is fun and interesting because he wins. Winning is fun and interesting.
Winning is fun. It's not always interesting, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you guys should lose interest at all. Yeah. In fact, there's plenty of room for these guys to surprise us. But in terms of expectation, it's definitely pretty run-of-the-mill. Although the cool thing is the Rogue. I mean, he is bringing a different class to the table that most people have ignored.
LuigEzz has been around for a while. LuigEzz has won
Dragon Warrior.
LuigEzz has won 15 Open Cups. 15
in his history.
In his history, and he took a 6-month break.
That's like once a month on average.
Between NESL, Zotek, and the old Mana Grind tournaments, 15 he's won.
It's crazy.
That is crazy.
SpiderRoger no play on turn 1. Decides to just pass. No innervate Shade. And as a result, Ysera and all of her peeps will just comfortably wait. It's Dragon Warrior, I forgot. Yes, Ysera, that makes it Dragon Warrior.
I want to delve into your creative mind here for a second, Dan.
That's all I have, TJ. I don't have anything else in life.
Okay. Well, after that depressing statement, what if you had to add like one dragon that would just like unlock all the other dragons? Like if you had to, you can take the whole broadcast as long as you tell me by the end of the broadcast what this answer is.
How I would design a card to unlock other dragons?
No, like what dragon would you implement into the game? Like if there was a dragon card,
like from WoW lore?
No, just you don't even have to name a specific dragon. Just the effect of the card, like the mana cost and the effect. If you had to create a card, because I know how much you love dragon decks. I've been seeing you trying to experiment over the past couple days with your dragon decks, and it seems like you've been disappointed in losses that you felt like you should have won.
Probably a dragon, 3-mana dragon that does something similar to Arcane Explosion. You just need something that fits the curve a little bit better, and then it addresses the board, because dragons are super powerful. It's like if you're holding a dragon, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions.
So Dread Infernal Dragon.
Kind of, but for 3 mana because it needs to fill the curve. Or even 2 mana. 2 mana would make sense too.
Okay.
If you're holding a dragon, deal like 1 damage, it'd be like a 2/2.
Okay. Kamikaze Whelp. Explosive Whelp.
Except it doesn't damage your own minions.
Explosive Sheep with wings. With dragon wings.
Explosive dragon.
Explosive dragon.
Yeah. It's what I call my sushi rolls at home. The explosive dragon. You should try it sometime.
Cool, I will. Thank you.
Keeper of the Grove. How about call that a dragon? Keeper of the Dragon. And then it's like, if you're holding a dragon, deal 2 damage in silence. Just make the same exact card.
The same exact card.
4 mana, 2/4. There it is. Or how about this?
And really be a troll and make it druid only.
Acolyte of Dragons. Every time, if you're holding a dragon, every time this takes damage, draw a card.
That's a worse Acolyte of Pain.
But you
a
get the
strictly
dragon.
worse Acolyte of
You get
Pain.
a dragon synergy.
You could just play Acolyte of Pain, and then it does the exact same thing, except you don't need a dragon.
How about Drake's Wrath? If you're holding a dragon, deal 4 damage.
To all
or
enemy
deal
minions.
2 damage and draw a card.
Whoa, that's actually
Slightly better Wrath.
yeah, pretty cool.
How about Dragon Maiden? If you're holding a dragon,
How about
if you're holding a dragon, gain a star in ladder.
Dragnaros the Fire Lord? If you're holding a dragon, deal 8 damage to a random minion.
Ah, that's a pretty good card, actually. Druid wants to definitely start outcarding warriors with pressure. That's one thing that ends up happening. Look, gets into the Ancient lore. Really useful stuff. How about Draktheb? Enemy dragons cost 5 more next turn. Only if you're holding a dragon. Only if you're holding a dragon. Yeah. Enemy dragons cost 5 more next turn. All right.
I didn't know what I was getting myself. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I asked that question.
We've definitely exhausted all possibilities. So to answer your question, that is it.
Okay.
Draktheb.
Thank you. I appreciate the insight.
So, Druid's been relatively passive, and as a result, Warrior's been able to keep most of its health. And I don't mind setting up Dr. Boom this turn. Whatever Sylvanas steals, you can execute and set up Shield Maiden, so I think this is reasonable. Not to mention that you do have eventual opportunity to bomb the board with Ragnaros, so this is like a test for Big Game Hunter.
Mm-hmm. He can...
Swipe Wrath. As long as... What if his Shade dies? What if his Shade dies, though?
I think that's unlikely.
Unlikely, but what are the chances?
If his Sylvanas dies, that's great.
Sylvanas dies, steals Dr. Boom.
Hey! Hey!
Oh.
Either way, it's okay. Because he can just Wrath his own Sylvanas and take it anyway.
That was very cute play. You attack, of course, with that Shade.
Yeah. You need to cash in.
Wow. If it did any more damage to that Shade, he'd have a clean removal with Execute and Deathbite, but he doesn't. And Shade is about to become another Dr. Boom next turn. A 7/6.
Yeah. Okay. If you, I think you shield block here. Try and draw into execute or shield slam. It doesn't put a body on like shield maiden, but actually I don't know. Shield maiden might be.
Yeah,
while you
it
can.
challenges. It's fine.
You're just not getting. You're not weaving in hero power, so the potential health gain is not as much, which you might need. But like you said, it challenges it, so that seems like it's more important in this situation.
Ooh, Harrison Jones. Yeah, you know, SpiderRoger has definitely got the number. Like, there's no way he's going to get stopped this game.
He's looked like he's played.
I mean, he's got this matchup on lockdown specifically. Like, he's got Harrison Jones against the Warrior. He's being able to think of some of these moves really quickly. And this is what it was supposed to be. LuigEzz earlier beat a Druid, a mid-range Druid, with the Warrior, but that's not supposed to normally happen here.
Yeah. And it seems like Roger is...
He realistically might have to just like Ragnaros here and just hit Dr. Boom. He goes for it. Dr. Boom would be excellent. No, not the one he wanted. But that was just a shot in the dark, and that's going to be game. Force of nature is enough just to push through, and we tied ourselves up at 1 apiece.
Yeah. And that, I mean, you look at that matchup on paper, and it's like, that's one of those classic matchups that you're like, okay, Druid has a pretty significant advantage.
Right.
There's sometimes, like you said, we saw earlier, where LuigEzz managed to overcome a Zuzu. But I think if you're, Roger just knew exactly what to do in every situation in that game.
It's true. It's true. It's too bad. I mean, he held on to that Ysera for a long time. I don't think he's playing this Blackwing Corruptors, perhaps. But he still had the Dragon in hand. Those kinds of cards are just clunky to hold on for a long time.
Yeah.
Because you're holding Ysera, you're holding a Dragon, but you have no cards to synergize with it.
So you're saying he might as well just play Blackwing Corruptors?
Well, you know, I think Dragon Warrior is really cool. It's definitely not as consistent across the board as Control Warrior is. Some matchups are a lot better. Some matchups are a lot worse just because you're very conditional. Also, the problem with Dragon cards in general is the holding synergy that we were, you know, half mocking but half exploring because it was a pretty cool thing. It's the fact that sometimes you have the dragons and you don't.
Yeah.
And so if you're not holding any dragons, you just have a vanilla 5/4 for 5 mana, which is like just a worse Harrison Jones.
Yeah. It's like you're either holding the dragons and you can't play them because they're too expensive, or you're holding the pieces that you need the dragons for.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and it's kind of like the victim of having priest combos, where you have like Auchenai independently, which is great, or you have Circle of Healing, which is like okay, but if you don't have both, it's just like you get the exact combination you need. And it introduces the conundrum. You have like Blackwing Corruptor in your opening hand, and you have a dragon. Do you toss away that dragon because you want a better curve? But you get the better synergy there. So that's kind of like the drawbacks of dragons in general right now. And I've played so much dragons, TJ.
I know.
And I think I'm almost given up for now. You know, maybe I'll just go back to the ways of the hunter.
Dragons making every single class as inconsistent as priests since 2015. Seems like how it's boiling down to. Well, next matchup is going to be Warrior. Once again, taking on, this time it's going to be Warlock. So we've yet to see the Warlock from Roger. See what type of Warlock it's going to be. If you guys didn't tune in yesterday, the winner of the Redemption Series Group B was Leadpaint. And he navigated his Dragon Warlock, his Malagos Warlock, to first place in that group yesterday. Secured himself a spot in the LAN Finals using that. So pretty impressive showing. And that was despite every time he used Soulfire, it discarded his second Soulfire.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious.
It was pretty brutal.
Well, I mean, I was laughing my butt off. I don't know about you, but I thought that humorous. And above it all, he still managed to qualify.
Yeah.
Like, because he, like, every Soulfire discarded the other Soulfire, which is inconvenient. The third time around, it didn't cause him to miss lethal, but it was just like, it was just a joke at that point.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if Roger's going to bring out something like that, but I'm not sure. Are you aware of how popular Dragon Warlock is in
Asia?
In Asia, I'm not.
I
too
know
sure.
that they experimented with Dragon Handlock. They were one of the first people to do it over in the China server because they had Dragon Wing or Blackwing Technician. I'm still getting familiar with the cards. Excuse me. Blackwing Technician into Twilight Drake into like Sludge Belcher, and then
Belcher.
you just have like this string of really powerful mid-sized minions that's hard to remove. But it was just kind of gimmicky, you know, not really anything too special. Plus, I think Handlock is just much more, like, you know, let's just call it vanilla Handlock. It's just really powerful with Mountain Giants because it's really difficult for decks like Grim Patron or even Control Warrior to deal with.
This does seem like a traditional handlock. We see Mountain Giant, Twilight Drake, and Molten Giants all in the starting hand, so that's a good indication. And I mean, that's a pretty good threat, a pretty good hand with lots of threats.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Drake into the Twilight or into the Mountain Giants are going to be really powerful. Do you prefer playing one or the other against Warrior? You've played a lot of Warriors, so which do you hate seeing more?
It depends on how my removal lines up.
Well, let's just say in this scenario you have an Execute. You'd rather see the Giant or the Drake?
I'd rather see the Giant.
So you can remove it and the Drake's just less power?
Yeah, because the Drake you can remove with other means. I mean, there's also BGH that you can remove the Giant with, but like the Drake you can stall for more time and until you see another removal. Like the Drake, you're not in like a huge rush to like take off the board. Yeah, the damage adds up, but I'd rather like, okay, if he plays Twilight Drake first, you use your Execute. Then he plays Mountain Giant. You know a way to deal with it. Right. You're on a really short clock to try and find something to do with it.
Sure.
So
I like this. If his opponent drops the Twilight Drake, silence it. You know,
cash in a draw.
Yeah, I don't know if you necessarily
cool
attack. I think Cool Taskmaster might be slightly better.
Yeah.
And then you, like, would you Cool Taskmaster your own Acolyte and then kill off the Silence Drake? So you get 2 draws?
Well, I'd Acolyte first if that was the case.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
like,
Cool
get the draw
first.
first.
Okay, yeah.
And then second Execute.
Whoa!
But you want to silence this and then trade into it.
Yeah, and being able to take out one
Roger. Eyebrows almost disappeared into his head. He's like, what? You play Iron Beak Owl? But unfortunately, Roger, seems like you haven't caught on to the fact that many Warriors are playing Iron Beak Owls in the West. I'm not sure if it is in the Asia server.
Yeah, there's room. I mean, for a while, Warriors were experimenting with lots of different tech cards. Like, for a while, every single Control Warrior list had, like, piloted Shredders.
Now there's Owl proc the Execute. That is crazy value. And you can drop Armorsmith, too, to gain an armor. Why not? Oh, he has Thorson, too, this turn.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I'm actually somewhat curious about this.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I was like, it looked like he never even moused over the Mountain Giant. And I was thinking, did he not remove it? Because, you know, spectator client takes a few seconds to catch up to the actions. And he didn't. He just ignored it.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious about that. But at any rate, ends up just killing off the Thorson. That's probably going to just make him play his own Thorson. So that way he gets a full 10-card discount.
I'm always...
Actually, it's 9 cards, excuse me. He's holding 10 cards.
One of the things that I always try to do against Handlock when I'm the Control Warrior player is trying to be conservative with my removal. So I respect the fact that LuigEzz is being very conservative because there's so many big threats that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
And one of the worst situations you can possibly be in is if you use all that removal early on. Like, say, oh, I have second Execute. I can use one. That's okay. But no, because then that second Execute is actually going to go a lot quicker, especially if that's your mindset. It's going to take out a Dr. Boom or an Emperor Thorson or a Ragnaros. And then you're basically reliant on either having armor, which is an unreliable way later in the game to remove something with shield slams, or winning out on a brawl, which aren't the most consistent ways to remove creatures.
Yeah, I like what you said. Keeping those executes for something else. You know that Thorson can do 5 damage to a giant and line up the removal elsewhere. This also sets up Dr. Boom. Although I think he really wanted to take care of that that Emperor as well. That's a huge threat.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he was really expecting that to come out when he made the plan in his head last turn.
It's always a possibility on 6 mana, but you're more anticipating things like tap, Twilight Drake number 2, tap, Mountain Giant, like, you know, maybe Sludge Belcher, Lotheb. Shield block.
Whoa. You don't want to BGH Snake 3.
So many other targets you'd rather use it on, especially the upcoming Dr. Boom.
It's like a Ren Blackhand that took 1 damage.
Maybe you just, okay, so he's going to hover over Dr. Boom. I think maybe he's like, what if you just execute the Thorson and then just leave the Giant? Oh, he goes for a Brawl!
Brawl!
50-50 for his minion to win. And the Iron Beak Owl still stays alive. What a champion.
Yeah. A Brawl is effectively a 2-card removal there. Like it's a 1 for 2 in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much all you're going to hope for. Usually later in the game, you're either going to use it to like snipe out 2 Molten Giants.
Right.
Like throw in an Armor Smith and try to snipe out 2 Molten Giants. So it's effectively doing the same thing as that. And he holds on to the BGH plus both executes later on for lots of different types of threats.
Well, this is what you can use to win back the board with Big Game Hunter. The follow-up is kind of meh. I guess you can use the Fiery War Axe to chop down the 1/1. That gives you 2 more mana. Play the Armor Smith. Alternatively, you could answer Boom with Boom, but I never feel that great against it with Handlock, because Handlock can swing so easily. He did just use a Mortal Coil, though.
I wonder.
Yeah, in what ways could he swing back from a Dr. Boom? He could BGH.
You can double Big Game Hunter right back, and then, or sorry, like he has 1 Big Game Hunter.
Yeah.
Because usually some people are playing 2, and then Boombot trades, and then just like hit the face, shred your armor.
And he's got the Ancient Watcher on the board to absorb some of the Boombot hits.
I guess Armor Smith's just really weak in this matchup. A lot of times, some people take the idea that they just want to get it on the board since it's not going to do anything, but it's fine if it's just sitting there because it really won't have high impact otherwise.
You can do good in late game if you can hide it behind a Sludge Belcher, or if you can plop it on the board as fodder for a Ragnaros, or if you can throw it in for a Brawl. Those are like the 3 main uses in this matchup. Or proc and execute
So
with it.
many possibilities.
So Dark Bomb, for sure, onto this Big Game Hunter. I think this is where okay to drop a Molten Giant. Just like start the victory charge.
Yeah.
Turning up the Boombot to make it complicated. I like it.
How much are you going to put Luigi's on having a second Brawl, SpiderRoger?
Definitely if you've watched the previous broadcasts in the week. Not in the day, but in the week. It's higher than 0 because there's people who've been playing double Brawl. What are you nodding and giving me a wink for, TJ?
Higher than 0?
Yeah, it's higher than 0. If it's higher than 0, you have to at least think about it and consider the possibility. And then, like, if he has the possibility of double Brawl,
I don't think about anything unless it's higher than 10.
Okay. You have very high standards.
I do. When it comes to plays that I play around, you got to really impress me.
I wonder.
Yeah, I think every single Control Warrior had double Brawl so far this week.
Maybe it's just time to play one of your big threats here. Dr. Boom.
Yep. Rag? I don't know. Rag could have been dangerous because if it hits like Sunfury Protector, you're in lots of trouble because he could just Siphon Soul and start swinging back. This way, at least you have Boombots to try and clear up, even if it removes the Dr. Boom. And Rag could be used later in the game to try and snipe through a taunt wall.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Rag is definitely one of those trump cards where, like, if Handlock can't deal with it, it's your way to just sometimes win the game. But of course, it always invokes bigger wrath from your opponents because of the Molten Giants. But if you see a bunch of Molten Giants played already, then Rag does get stronger.
And seeing Siphon Soul come out here is going to give him at least a window. It's going to open up more opportunities to use the Rag. Ouch.
So you can take a couple of Molten Giant hits. All right, so an execute onto the Molten Giant. Can he set up lethal for the next couple of turns? It does depend, right? If you can get like Death's Bite and the Whirlwind effect on Grommash.
What now?
The Ancient Watcher being the only thing with taunt poses a problem. Because if you the only thing you attack into this turn is Ancient Watcher to set up like the Death by Death rattle to go for a Grom next turn. So looks like he's gonna pave the way.
Yeah, it doesn't. You can just play like the Armor Smith here.
Yeah. That can allow
They
him to
can
push
be
through.
pretty resilient too. It's not like he's gonna Shadow Flame the 2 Armor Smiths.
Screw your Armor Smith, man. Ooh. Well, there's a lot of things that he can do to pose a pretty big problem.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Now you can play the Mountain Giant and the Sludge Belcher.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, you always are mindful of the combo from Gromash.
Yeah. It's not quite as frightening as like Druid combo, but it's still something you have to play around every turn. It's a lot easier to play around because all you need is like one taunt. You know, it's a very one-dimensional combo. It's like he has to find a way to hit face with one creature.
He is 3 damage off lethal right now. And that Mountain Giant is problematic. Might want to execute that too, but he's running out of removal spots. This is where the Handlock's really making a really strong push to seize back the board.
Yeah. Because now the Warrior's in a spot where he's trying to set up lethal. But he's also in a spot where if he doesn't deal with the board, if he doesn't answer these threats, he's just going to die in the next couple turns.
Right. I guess he could stall it out
Wonder.
by playing things like Sludge Belcher, but that's pretty weak, all things considered.
Get Rag.
Rag would have to hit the Mountain Giant. Or maybe Face wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah. I think there's 2 good outcomes there. Because if you have Slime left over...
No. He has double heal bot. Hitting Face would be awful, I guess.
You got to go through that 8 damage eventually. From the heal bot.
Alright, he's going to execute the Giant. And then go ahead and try to push through. Oh man, I wasn't anticipating him just going for it.
Wow.
But SpiderRoger's got a lot of ways to handle this because he's SpiderRoger. Does everything
The SpiderRoger does.
SpiderRoger does.
He puts himself in a position where he can... No, he can't because Antique Healbot's almost certainly going to be played this turn.
Antique heal bot and then taunt.
Yeah. And that'll basically get rid of any opportunity LuigEzz had at winning, because that was like his win condition.
Right.
Yeah, you could see
he was hoping Rag would be the finisher.
He winced when he saw the heal bot come out.
Ooh, that is domination on the board. Ooh, Roger rubbing his hands together. He's getting warmed up. And unless the only chance was if he drew Fiery War Axe. Can you imagine? Fiery War Axe to the face.
Yeah.
Rag shot. Field goal. He's still keeping that dream alive. Maybe Fiery War Axe getting a drawn. Maybe his opponent won't play a taunt.
Those are...
But he's got both.
Yeah. Those are things that you...
Or does he even
Really
have
hard to
lethal that we
count
don't
on.
see at the moment? He's got 24, 26. No, he was short damage by 2, I think, for lethal.
My shield for Argus.
That's crazy.
So he's on a brawl to just survive.
Oh yeah, second brawl might be helpful. Nah, Shield Sam came way too late.
Yeah. It's going to be at 18. There's still going to be, 19 damage left on the board. Oh, no, he's going to be good. He'll live. 12, 14, 19 damage. The 23 health. He has a chance.
If he has a chance that his opponent taps and doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, the Antique Heal bot. So now it's basically that brawl that you were mentioning.
And even then, it's going to be rough. Because a lot of the outcomes
Right,
are...
the 2-3 has to survive.
Yeah.
Okay. That's about it. Plays Ragnaros just to see where it hits.
Well,
Although I'd be scared to use up the good RNG because if it hits the Molten Giant, it might never happen again.
Okay, he got rid of the bad
Got rid
RNG.
of the bad RNG. There we go.
Yeah.
Get it out of the system.
I don't know about that from LuigEzz, though. I guess getting out the bad RNG, if you believe in, like,
if you're superstitious, but you're also revealing cards.
Exactly, yeah. Because if you're the loser in that situation, not revealing cards is actually a good thing because you're going to have to play that deck again. You have to find a victory. And Rack's not a card that's like a 100% control warrior inclusion. So, I don't know. Probably won't matter, but small things like that could end up making a difference. We'll have to see. LuigEzz on the ropes now.
Well, I think he's still okay. I think he's got that Patron Warrior that he has to face off against, so he might just requeue this Control Warrior one more time. And then he's got Rogue versus the Patron Warrior, which should be okay. So I think he's still in a decent spot.
Yeah. He's got the... I'm still not too sold on the Rogue matchup for Patron Warrior, but we'll have to see. It's a matchup that we haven't seen very much lately just because of Rogue has sort of fallen in popularity over the past couple weeks.
I know. It's a shame.
It is.
I think Rogue's one of the more fun decks just because the explosiveness is cool, some of the counting. Of course, I listen to Hype to talk about Rogue all the time.
I love counting as well.
Yeah, I like counting. I just, I'm not that great at it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Hyped. I'm sure you guys talk a lot, and he's like one of the biggest advocates for Rogue that exists on the entire face of the planet. And Gara for Shaman as well.
See, everyone keeps saying that, but that's how you know that no one else has anything to say about it. If you just start going off titles like, yeah, Gara, he's the best Shaman. It's like, wow, you don't know anything else to say about him.
It's becoming a joke just because his name is Gara Best Shaman.
Well, his ID used to be that. Now he's just shorthanded to Gara.
Oh, really? He changed it? His Twitch?
No, but yeah. In general, his other handles. Like, for example, Powder from Trig used to be White Powder. Or,
I didn't know
Purple
that.
Drink is now just purple.
Yeah, he's just purple. Yeah.
We're just waiting for a couple of other colors to join Archon. They have the rainbow.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if any players with colors can win any tournaments in the near future.
Yeah, so, Gara doesn't really focus too much on Shaman. He actually really likes, classes like Hunter or Mage. He actually really loves Freeze Mage.
I think Hunter would probably be the deck that I would call Gara's, not signature deck, but the one that he's probably played the most, at least over the past couple months.
Yeah, I think people have associated him with Ramp Druid because that was the tournament he won with.
Yeah.
In the time when Hunter was dominant.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Other than that, though, he doesn't really play too much Rogue. And Rogue is going to be that interesting class that LuigEzz brings to the table here and see if it can go all the way. The winner of this goes on to play the winner of Silent Storm versus Corn Nico. We have a couple of Japanese fans actually here in the studio talking to me about Corn Nico. They're like, yeah, I really hope he does well. They're like, yeah, I saw him. Maybe he wasn't playing his best. It was like 5 a.m. in Japan. It's really tough. He's also really young. He's like 18, something like that. And that kind of combination of factors might end up being like a spot where you get really nervous or you're just uncomfortable. You're in a really bad time zone. Thousands of people are watching you.
Yeah. We had an interview with him the other day, and he asked if he was afraid of any of his opponents, if he was nervous or intimidated, because he is young, he's not as well known, and some of these other players are a little bit bigger of names. And he said, if you're afraid, then you've already lost.
Corn Nico said that?
Yeah.
That's very Japanese philosophy.
Yeah. And
calm yourself, inner peace.
Yeah, so he said he has to have confidence going in, because if he doesn't have confidence, then he's pretty much already lost in his mind. So even though he's a young guy, he's
very wise beyond his years.
He's also ambitious. He really wants to be successful and make a name for himself.
In Hearthstone.
In Hearthstone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in Hearthstone.
Well, only a select few people get to really make it, unfortunately. Out of the millions that play this game, there's a handful of people that are successful, and then, or even good, and then even within that small section that are good, are successful, and even within those successful, some people don't always get what they want. We have players who still, despite doing really well, don't get a lot of recognition, unfortunately. People climbing ladder a lot. You look at Fibonacci, you look at Just Saying, you look at even prior to this, Nine-Man, right?
Yeah.
They were all playing who climbed the ladder and didn't get a lot of recognition, and some do, and they can't handle it and ends up going south. So it's a really competitive field. I hope Corn Nico can definitely do it. It'd be cool to see some Japanese players rise to the top.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors that go into being a successful professional Hearthstone player. It's not just about branding yourself as well.
Sure.
It's not just about being good at slinging cards. It's also about
God.
What?
Slinging cards.
It's effectively
We're
what you're
not.
doing.
Yeah, I know.
Dan doesn't like when I say
If you're
slinging
cool,
cards.
you play cards.
If you're really cool, you sling cards. Yep. Dan, don't go near that sword.
Why'd you say that as soon as we were off camera? It's going to be Warrior versus Warrior. This is kind of what we thought about it. Roger took a bathroom break. Probably to put on his costume, save a life, and come back. Because he's SpiderRoger.
But is it the black SpiderRoger costume?
Ooh, the evil Raj that comes out.
Yeah.
Venom.
Has he been able to battle against his inner demons?
I don't know.
Will he defeat LuigEzz?
Will crush you.
I wonder where Luigi's names came from, because I mean, I obviously the first thing that jumps to mind is like the Mario relationship.
It's his first and last name.
Oh, is his real name Luigi?
No.
Oh. 'Cause that's a pretty sweet last name if your last name is Ez. With
Yeah.
2 Z's.
And if your first name was Luigi.
Yeah, but he could be combining like the first half of his name with
Yeah,
the last
yeah, that's
half of his
possible.
name. Yeah.
I don't think that's it, though.
All right, well, we have Warrior versus Warrior, but it's Patron versus the control-based. And this one is really tough. We've seen several approaches to this matchup. One is to be really defensive, armor up, play as little minions as possible, and let your opponent combo and just exhaust them out. The second is to be a little bit more proactive, try to stay the control of the board, and flip the aggression if it's appropriate.
Yeah. You have a while before you have to actually decide which route you want to go. Like, you can go for the aggressive route, and then at the end, just say, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to armor up every turn, deal with whatever threat you put out, and then just wait until you run out of threats. And we saw that with in Legendary Series week number 3 with Chalky bringing his Grim Patron Warrior. He was playing against Chang. And there was a game where literally for the last, like, 8
I think it was
turns...
the opposite. Chalky was playing Control Warrior, and Chang was playing the combo.
Oh, I thought that's what I said.
You said Chalky was playing Patron Warrior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to clarify if anyone misremembered.
Yeah. Chang was playing, like, the Miracle sort of Patron Warrior. And for the last, like, 10 turns, all Chalky did was armor up, not play any creatures, because he knew that Chang just had all the combo pieces in his hand, and he knew the threshold of damage.
Want to play a game? Let's play the game How Greedy is Roger? Does he play Coin Acolyte? He is really greedy.
It's a lot of greed. I didn't really like that game that much. I didn't get to play.
It's too bad. Maybe next time if you're quick enough.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, it just happened to work out where he doesn't have it. And that's why, ultimately, people would argue that you shouldn't play the Armor Smith unless you have a weapon guaranteed for an Acolyte.
Or the greedier, the better.
Right. This actually was a small misstep. A lot of Warrior players like KitKaz was telling me for a while that, like, you don't play the Armor Smith unless you know you can destroy the Acolyte. You can get punished.
Yeah.
And this second card draw is pretty significant because he's going to be able to start picking things up and get that Battle Rage going.
Yeah. There's also an argument to where Armor Smith's a huge liability as the game goes on. Because you can get 2 Grim Patrons out of a Warsong Commander and a Grim Patron with Armor Smith.
Right.
So you want to get the value out while you can and get it killed while you can.
Right.
But you get punished by it with things like this.
Yep. All right, Death Bite. So the opponent gets an extra card. You might not think it's the end of the world, but he got an extra card and he got the Battle Rage. So he got 2 extra cards from that. And he gets just to power up a little bit deeper. And if this next card...
Holy
yeah.
moly,
That
that's a
Dorson
hand.
is so huge here. Especially because next turn he can play something on board and then take a little bit more control, Battle Rage again. And then all of a sudden he just has like this full hand for Thorsten once more, gets Warzone Commander, and he can put on a lot of pressure.
This hand is godly. The only thing he's missing is like cheap spells, like Inner Rage and Whirlwind, to be able to proximate his Grim Patrons, but he's got plenty of time. Whoa.
There it is.
Speak of the devil.
So do you play a Grim Patron here and then just activate it, or do you hold off and do something else, just play like a Frothing Berserker and toss it out just to get killed. No, they can't
yeah,
be it.
I think the Frothing Berserkers are
I wonder.
like just as valuable as the
Right.
Grim Patrons in this matchup.
And
And
the
the Grim
patrons are like not the MVPs because there's so many big minions. It doesn't really get much
Yeah,
value.
Frothing Berserker is one of the main. It's like against Priest. You can set up big combos with Frothing Berserker late game, whereas you just want to make the Grim Patrons really tough to deal with. Like right now, he has to execute a Grim Patron and attack into the other. That's just a pretty clean way, but I mean, it's just like one card.
Oh, it doesn't have to execute. You can cool task, I guess.
What? Oh, it can cool task his slime.
Oh, you think cool task?
I was like, what
Yeah,
are you talking about?
Let's do that.
What now?
Yeah, I'm gonna set this Grim Patron up to get killed by the Death by Whirlwind.
Yeah. And then he can save the Death Spite or something else. This also allows him to play Big Game Hunter and just start controlling the board.
Yeah.
But he chooses to armor up instead. It's fair because there are many targets. There's sometimes Gromash or Boom.
Oh, a full hand! A full hand!
Yep. And 2 of them are Frothing Berserkers, and 1 of them's a Whirlwind. So that's really, really clutch.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Cool Taskmaster might be relevant too.
Oh, and the Grim Patron. And the Battle Rage. You know what? Everything.
Well, I mean, specifically the fact that it all plays into the combo of
Yeah.
2 Frothing Berserkers Wombo combo.
Yeah. Very true. Solid point.
Answer the Thorson with your own Thorson.
This one, not quite as much value. Good thing you can play Ysera next turn. But
Might be relevant.
yeah. Bad thing is, like, how scary of a board can Roger develop here?
Well, I think he wants to use Battle Rage again to draw more cards. And he wants to kill off Thorson.
The fight! Count me in!
So he could Whirlwind here and then Battle Rage execute.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome.
That's very awesome. No Brawl yet for LuigEzz. He might not even get an opportunity to use Brawl.
That is quite the board. He's not going to even have mana to execute, though. But he does have a full board and says, if you don't have Brawl, I win. Really cool spot here. I think I definitely like the Cool Taskmaster over the Battle Rage because that's just a full board. You get an extra Grim Patron from it. Or you get 2 extra Grim Patrons, excuse me.
Oh, that Frothing Berserker is big.
Sylvanas. Sylvanas is actually maybe a ticket for him to fight back on the board here.
He can clear off one of
Kind
the
of.
Grim Patrons. Actually, you'd probably just take the 9 damage and clear
Right.
off the Frothing Berserker.
I wonder.
Or, oh, BGH.
Yeah, I thought Big Game Hunter and Sylvanas is like the play here.
Yeah.
I guess you could Fire War Axe and take the 9 damage, but I think I'd rather Big Game Hunter.
Yeah.
I have no time for games.
Oh, you still have 30 health.
Yeah, but Dread Corsair can put a big problem into that. Hold on. How much is this? If he Battle Rages and he puts out the charge. Oh my goodness. All right, that's 5 plus 10, 16. No Whirlwind effects, looks like.
Ah.
Dread Corsair is free, though. There's 2 Dread Corsairs.
And
16, 22. Hold on. He did this really fast. Okay.
Barely
All
even
right.
thought about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's always worth seeing if there is an opportunity to. He did a lot of damage, but I think he could have been like a few points off. But it's one of those things where you probably want to count. Now, this is basically LuigEz's chance to draw Brawl. He didn't draw it. And I think Grim Patron just completely ran over LuigEz's. Look at that play from earlier on where he was able to navigate through. Shield Maiden is not enough to gain life. There's still going to be a huge amount of damage way on the other end. The worst part about it is that,
He can gain 8 health.
yeah, he's going to leave space for this Frothing Berserker to also just do a lot of damage. And a lot has to do with the early game draw.
You got an extra card.
Meow. Okay, so that's got to be lethal here.
It's lethal. No, it's not lethal on board.
No.
Wait, yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. Just
Yeah.
exactly. Okay.
Yeah, that's rough. Very rough. But Roger is going to be the first player moving on to the finals.
Yeah, he got second place, and he's back in the finals. Well done.
Yep.
Clearly very, very well versed with the Patron Warrior. Super fast.
Yeah, he played that about the
Yeah.
fastest I've ever seen anybody play Patron Warrior.
It's one of those things where, like, we always have to be, like, stopping and evaluate, but I think he's counting all the time. Like,
Yeah.
in his mind, he's thinking about what the next step is with how much damage he has.
Well, we're looking at both players, and he's only...
No excuses, TJ. We got wrecked.
Yeah. I also had something in my eye for like half that last match.
Oh. So those
I
were...
think there was something like rubbing on my leg.
So that's why the tears. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's why you were crying. I get it. Or is
Yeah.
it because I was touching your leg? I don't know.
A little bit of both.
Roger goes to the finals, gets second place guaranteed, but that's not good enough just yet. He'll face the winner against Silent Storm versus Koroneko.
Yeah.
And now that LuigEzz is eliminated, that means all the native people from USA are gone from today. We have a Japanese player, a Taiwanese player, and a Canadian-Chinese player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Canadian. And he was born in China, but...
Born in China, moved to Canada.
Yeah.
Kind of identifies more with the Chinese scene.
Mhm.
In fact, for the Season 1 finals of the ESL, he practiced with Tither Celestial, who helped him win the tournament.
Yeah.
And that ends up becoming the paving the way for him to get on Team Celestial. Really cool stuff. And I just want Silent Storm to play in more tournaments. He's a really cool player.
Yeah, he's a fun guy, even though his awkward interviews didn't really do his personality justice. He's a really good kid. But Silent Storm's going to be looking to make his way back to the Legendary Series LAN Finals. And Koroneko is going to be looking to make a little bit more of a name for himself. That semifinal plus the finals will happen after this break.
I have no time for games.